Welcome to our exploration of two influential language teaching methods, the Grammar Translation Method, GTM, and Communicative Language Teaching, CLT. In this video, we'll break down their core principles, methodologies, advantages, and practical applications. Whether you're a language learner, teacher, or simply curious about how languages are taught, understanding these methods will give you valuable insights into the world of language education. Let's begin by setting the stage for our comparison, highlighting why these two approaches have shaped classrooms around the world and continue to influence language learning today. The Grammar Translation Method, often abbreviated as GTM, is one of the oldest and most traditional approaches to language teaching. Its main focus is on the systematic study of grammatical rules and vocabulary, usually through translation exercises. GTM aims to develop strong reading and writing skills, with less emphasis on speaking or listening. In most GTM classrooms, the teacher leads the lesson, and students often translate sentences between their native language and the target language. This method is especially common in academic settings, where understanding written texts is a priority. Communicative language teaching, or CLT, represents a more modern approach to language education. The core idea behind CLT is to help learners develop communicative competence, meaning the ability to use the language fluently and appropriately in real-life situations. Unlike GTM, CLT prioritizes speaking and listening, encouraging students to interact, negotiate meaning, and use language in context. Activities such as role-plays, group discussions, and problem-solving tasks are common in CLT classrooms, making learning more dynamic and engaging. In the Grammar Translation Method, the primary focus is on mastering grammatical rules and expanding vocabulary. Lessons are typically conducted in the student's native language, making it easier to explain complex grammar points. The teacher directs the learning process, and accuracy is highly valued. Students are expected to apply rules correctly and translate texts with precision. This teacher-centered approach ensures that learners build a solid foundation in reading and writing, but it often leaves little room for spontaneous communication. Communicative language teaching takes a different approach. Here, English is used as the medium of instruction from the very beginning, even for beginners. The classroom is learner-centered, with students actively participating in discussions and activities. The main goal is to use language meaningfully, focusing on fluency and the ability to communicate in various social contexts. Teachers act as facilitators, guiding students as they practice and experiment with the language in authentic situations. A typical Grammar Translation Method lesson involves translating sentences or passages between the native language and English. Students might also memorize grammar rules, study vocabulary lists, and analyze literary texts. These activities are designed to reinforce grammatical accuracy and build a strong foundation in reading and writing. However, opportunities for speaking and listening are limited, which can make the learning experience feel rigid and less interactive. In a communicative language teaching classroom, students engage in a variety of interactive activities. These might include role plays, group discussions, interviews, and problem-solving tasks that mirror real-life situations. Authentic materials, such as newspapers, videos, and audio recordings, are often used to make learning relevant and engaging. These activities help learners practice using English in meaningful ways, building both confidence and competence. The Grammar Translation Method uses a deductive approach to teaching grammar. Teachers present rules explicitly, and students practice them through translation and written exercises. This method relies heavily on rote memorization and repetitive practice, aiming for mastery of grammar and vocabulary. Assessment usually involves written tests, where students demonstrate their ability to translate accurately and apply grammar rules correctly. Communicative language teaching adopts an inductive approach to grammar. Instead of starting with rules, students discover grammatical patterns through exposure to language in use. The focus is on interaction and negotiation of meaning, with grammar taught in context. Assessment is performance-based, often involving oral presentations, group projects, and real-life simulations rather than traditional written exams. This approach encourages learners to use English actively and creatively. Assessment in the grammar translation method is straightforward and traditional. Students are tested on their ability to translate texts accurately, apply grammar rules, and perform well in written exams. These assessments are designed to measure knowledge of grammar and vocabulary, ensuring that students have a solid grasp of the language's structure. However, they rarely evaluate speaking or listening skills, which can limit learners' overall communicative ability. In communicative language teaching, assessment is more dynamic and practical. Instead of relying solely on written exams, teachers evaluate students' ability to communicate effectively in real-life scenarios. This might include oral presentations, group projects, and simulations. The goal is to assess not just knowledge, but also the ability to use English fluently and appropriately in different contexts. This approach helps learners develop confidence and adaptability. The grammar translation method offers several advantages. It provides a thorough understanding of grammatical rules and a strong foundation in reading and writing. This method is especially effective for learners who prefer structured, rule-based learning or those who need to translate texts for academic or professional purposes. The clear focus on accuracy and structure can help students excel in written communication and analysis. Despite its strengths, the grammar translation method has notable drawbacks. It often neglects the development of speaking and listening skills, which are essential for real-world communication. The repetitive and rigid nature of GTM can also make learning tedious and demotivating, especially for students eager to use English in practical situations. As a result, learners may struggle to communicate effectively outside the classroom. Communicative language teaching is praised for its ability to prepare learners for real-world communication. By focusing on fluency, confidence, and adaptability, CLT helps students use English effectively in various situations. The interactive and engaging activities keep learners motivated and make the learning process enjoyable. This method is particularly beneficial for those who want to use English in everyday life, travel, or work. However, communicative language teaching is not without its challenges. It may not provide as much focus on grammatical accuracy as GTM, which can lead to persistent errors over time. Some learners, especially those accustomed to structured environments, may feel uncomfortable with the open-ended nature of communicative activities. Balancing fluency and accuracy remains a key challenge in CLT classrooms. In practice, the grammar translation method is especially useful in contexts where reading and analyzing texts is the main goal, such as in literary studies or translation courses. However, to ensure a well-rounded language education, GTM should be supplemented with other methods that develop speaking and listening skills. This balanced approach can help learners become more versatile and effective language users. Communicative language teaching shines in environments where the primary goal is to develop speaking and listening skills. It is highly effective in preparing learners for real-life interactions, whether for travel, work, or social situations. Teachers can further enhance the effectiveness of CLT by incorporating activities that also address grammar and accuracy, ensuring a comprehensive language learning experience. A key difference between GTM and CLT lies in their approach to grammar instruction. GTM uses a deductive approach, where rules are taught first and then applied. In contrast, CLT uses an inductive approach, encouraging students to discover rules through exposure and practice. Understanding these concepts helps explain why the two methods produce different learning experiences and outcomes. Communicative competence is at the heart of CLT. It refers to the ability to use language appropriately and effectively in various social contexts. This goes beyond knowing grammar and vocabulary. It includes understanding cultural norms, using language for different purposes, and adapting to different situations. Developing communicative competence is essential for real-world language use. Let's visualize the main differences between the grammar translation method and communicative language teaching. This schematic will help clarify how each method approaches language teaching, their focus areas, and typical classroom activities. By comparing them side by side, we can better understand their unique strengths and limitations. In summary, both the grammar translation method and communicative language teaching offer valuable approaches to language learning. GTM excels in building a strong foundation in grammar and written skills, while CLT prepares learners for real-world communication. The best results often come from combining elements of both methods, tailoring instruction to learners' needs and goals. By understanding the strengths and limitations of each approach, teachers and students can make informed choices for effective language learning.